Morning, everyone. Today is the 21st day of Adar, and we begin a new chapter, Tanya, chapter 36, Perek Lamed Vav, and we're on page 64 in the Chayenu. Good job, Steve. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos.
Good nerve Shabbos. Yesterday, we talked about the superiority and the importance of action-based mitzvahs, bringing Shekhinah onto you, onto your family, onto the entire world, and specifically when there are 10 Yidden gathered together like we have here in a minyan. So the question is why? Why? Why is that so important? That's what the Alter Rebbe is going to ask now. So I'll know the statement of our sages that the purpose of this world is that God created a dwelling place for himself here in this world. Of course, in the upper worlds, God shines eternally and forever, but in this world, he wanted to dwell for whatever reason. Of course, with Hashem, there's no such thing as upper and lower. No, God doesn't change whatsoever. And God doesn't change, not before creation or after creation. However, God is equal in all the worlds. So let's explain and understand this idea of God wanting to dwell in the lower realms. What does that mean? For the world, any world was created. There was only Hashem, one and unique, filling all the space that he created. Then, what did Hashem do? He created the world. He created it, and then he filled it. Anything that would be conceived as space, quote unquote, or possibility for creation was filled with the light of Hashem. And indeed, even now, the same thing. It's only Hashem. Obviously, from our perspective, it looks like we're an independent existence. But from Hashem's perspective, it's all the same thing. Only the recipients of Hashem's life feel and sense that we're independent entities. The ones, which include us, who receive this life force and light by way of numerous contractions, concealments, and veils of Hashem's light. For without such garments, without such concealments, the light would be too powerful for us to exist. The pasuk says, "No man can see me alive. No man can see me and live." Even angels that are called holy chayos cannot see God except by way of concealment. And this concealment is the subject of the whole Seder Shtalshalos. The Eibishter is all powerful and eternal and everything really. And in order to come down into this world and give us the illusion of being independent and self-existent, Eibishter had to go through all sorts of descents from level to level. Through many garments that conceal the light and life force emanating from Hashem. The more concealment, the lower and further away from the original powerful godly light, until the creation of this physical world. This is the lowest degree, lowest level. There's nothing lower than our world. In terms of concealment of godliness, this world is so far removed from the light of Hashem that we even have people that will say God doesn't exist. Forget about being covered over and concealed. He doesn't exist. We can't see him. It's all made up. So much so the world is filled with all sorts of klipa and sitrachara, opposing views, evil, negativity, opposite sides, and they oppose Hashem and they say, I am there and there's nothing else besides me, meaning the ego that pushes God out says God doesn't really exist. The purpose of the whole descent that Hashem went through all this trouble was not for the higher worlds. Forget about the angels, even higher than the angels. Atzilos, the highest of worlds. Since for them, this constitutes a descent from the light of his countenance. The very word olam, the fact that they're a world, even if they're a very high world, the word olam itself means hidden, elam. So if they're a world called Atzilus, Bria, Yitzir, Asiyah, these are the higher world, Atzilus, Bria, and Yitzir, higher than our world of Asiyah. So even if it's Atzilus next to Hashem, Eitzel, close to God, it's still a world. And the very foundation of what it is Helem, concealment of God. Hello. The purpose of this whole descent is for our world, this physical world. So however much we're trying to put man on Mars and all these other places and the moon, this is where it's at, Chavra. This is the whole purpose of creation. For whatever reason, it became God's will that he finds pleasurable when the Sitra Achra is subjugated to holiness and the darkness of Klippa is transformed into holy light. You know, sometimes as a parent, you tell the kids, do this, and the kid has no idea why you're telling him to do it. And just do it. This brings me great pleasure. Tell me the parsha, sing me a song, whatever it is that brings us great pleasure. You know, when our kid does it, and our kid's like, why do you care? Let me play, let me run around. They don't know. As they get older, they realize, but when they're a kid, they don't know why it brings me any pleasure. But nevertheless, of course, the father, the parents, they derive tremendous pleasure from when the child does whatever it is that they're doing that you ask them to do. Hashem decided, and we're still the kid, we're like the little child in this world. When we grow up, we're going to be in the next world. But in this world, Hashem says, this is why I want it. We don't understand it. We have to play along with it, so to speak. That's what he asked us to do. We do it. If he tells us it brings him pleasure, we have to trust him. He knows what he's talking about. Hashem really appreciates when we take darkness and turn it into light. When we take something that's difficult and we do a mitzvah anyway, despite the challenges and circumstances of our busy schedule and the cost of it and everything else. And what we try to do is we try to change the place of darkness and the other side. It's very careful. Tanya says, instead of saying the bad and the evil, it says the other side. Try to change the darkness throughout this world and bring in the godly light so it can shine. Yes, it says, with greater strength and greater intensity, that even that from where it came. Like if you're in a dark room, you know, I turn the light on in the morning. The kids, you know, they have a darkened window shades, whatever, so they can sleep good and everything else. You turn the light, I shut the light. It's the big deal. Last night you had it on. Soon you'll be used to it. But when there's darkness and then there's light, it feels like it's so much brighter than before. So when we transform the darkness into light, it's going to be like, Remember years ago, we were in the back building. We used to rent from the back over there. And it was Pesach. You know, Pesach, you throw away a lot of food, unfortunately, because people, you know, even from the Seder plate and all the matzah that fell down, or the leftover food you don't want to bring back. It's different than during the year. So we throw out all this stuff. The next day, I opened up the dumpster. And there were 4 fat raccoons just sitting there. And they were on their backs. They couldn't move because they had so much food to eat. They were like, hey, who turned the light on? You can see that they were like bothered by the light. Huh? Yeah, Frankie was like, hey, Tony, turn that off. Anyway, so the greater the darkness, the greater the intensity of the light. In the higher worlds, it shines through the concealment in the countenance, which conceal the light, so that the words don't dissolve out of existence. In the higher worlds, there's not so much darkness. There's almost no darkness. But Hashem has to conceal himself a little bit. When it comes all the way to this world, Hashem is so concealed that when you reveal him, the light is so potent and powerful. It's like, oh, beautiful. The Alter Rebbe writes, he has a question. He says, how is it possible, even upon subjugating the Klippa and transforming it into the holiness, that we in this world should experience the revelation of Ein Sof without a veil of concealment? We want to see Hashem. We want to see the revelation of God. How would that be possible? When even the higher worlds cannot experience this. How is it possible that we have such a revelation that even the higher worlds can't get? And the answer there, Alter Rebbe writes, he says, for this purpose, remember yesterday we said the superiority of the positive of the action-based mitzvah, Steve? I said, hang on a second, just wait up. We'll get to the Torah and the Tefillah. So for this purpose, Hashem says, I'm giving you the Torah. which is called oiz v'koyach, might and strength. It gives us the strength to overwhelm the darkness and turn it into the greatest light, even greater than before, and even greater than the higher worlds. Hashem gives the tzaddikim the strength to receive their reward in the world to come. Why is this strength necessary? They're doing everything they have to do. Why do they need extra strength? Why? He needs to give them strength so that their existence should not dissolve within the divine light. It's going to be so powerful that they're going to just be absorbed into the divine light. He gives them strength to retain their somewhat existence and still receive godly light, the highest light. The pasuk says, your teacher will no longer hide from you, meaning not as some interpret the pasuk, you will no longer withhold your rains from heaven, but following Rashi, it says he will no longer conceal himself from you with the edge of a robe or garment, kanaf, and your eyes will behold your teacher. That's from Yeshaya 30:20. And it also says, you shall see eye to eye, meaning that the human eye will see the divine eye, not the eye of Hashem, but the light of Hashem. The pasuk also says in Yeshaya, further there, in 60:19, that the sun will no longer be the light by day, for Hashem will be your eternal light. So the strength that we're going to receive this light will shine forth in the world to come without any garment or concealment. We're talking about here, we're not talking about Olam Haba when a person passes away. We're talking about Lasid Lavai, when godliness will be revealed in this world. Maybe it's also talking about Olam Haba with the tzaddikim going up to their place after 120. So one may ask, this revelation will only take place only in the hereafter, but what about now? We don't see godliness at all. Where's this great light after we go through so much darkness, especially today? It's been 500 and how many days? Almost 530, 40. What are we up to since October 7th? This is a very dark time. Anti-Semitism and everything else. The Alter Rebbe replies that indeed, during the times of Mashiach, that will be the purpose for which the world was created. So that's why we need to yearn for Mashiach, to help Hashem, be a partner with him to create, to finish the purpose of creation and to bring us to the culmination and the completion of the reason for existence at all, for reason for creation of the world at all. And that will be in the times of Mashiach. During the times of Mashiach, and especially during Tchias HaMesim, when all of our loved ones and all of every good person will be returned physically into the world. Indeed, this is the ultimate purpose, and the fulfillment of the creation of the world is for this purpose that the world was originally created. It seems like completely out of mind, like how is it going to work? Are they going to come back at what age, how, in what health? What's it going to look like? That's going to be like beyond anything we can imagine. We could try to imagine it, but there's too many questions. So that's going to be revelation. That's going to be godliness. That's going to be godless. That's going to be the most beautiful thing, but out of worldly, out of body experience, even in the physical body, the tremendous light of Hashem. The first part of Mashiach is everything's going to continue as is, but it's going to be peace. Everyone's going to get along, but we're still going to eat and drink and function normally as we would in today's world. But it's going to be a whole different era. And then there's going to be this Tchias HaMesim, this revelation of Hashem, that is the culmination of the purpose of existence. So at first glance, this statement appears strange. One would have thought that the times of Mashiach represent not the purpose of creation. I thought it was the toil of man, doing mitzvahs and working hard to overcome the Yetzer Hara. I thought that's the purpose of creation. Tchias HaMesim is a time of open miracles and godliness. So there's a footnote here that says, the Kabbalah Sachar Yikari Be'alef Hashvi, Moshe Kosev L'Kadoteinu V'Hari, the time of receiving the word is essentially in the 7th millennia, as stated in the Kodeteira Arizal, whereas the period until then constitutes the fulfillment of the world's purpose. Takeaway for today: understanding the process of creation helps you understand your purpose. Now that we understand what the goal is, now we can know what our mission is. If If you tell, it's hard when you tell soldiers, just go and fight. Okay, but what's our objective? We know what our objective is. Just run and shoot and kill? No, what's our objective? Are we trying to take land? Are we trying to protect people from being hurt? Are we trying to eliminate a particular enemy? Like, what's the purpose? What's the end goal? So the Medrash states that the purpose that Hashem desires, so to speak, a dwelling in this lower realms, meaning that Hashem desires that from a world that looks so ungodly and so unrefined, that we make a place where Hashem can call home. When we sit together with a minyan and Hashem rests on the presence of 10, and we daven together, we're creating a dwelling place for Hashem. And so too, when we learn Torah, we can learn Torah. By the way, it's very interesting because it says, an action-based mitzvah is tefillin. Why can't it be learning Torah? We're saying the words. We're looking with our eyes. When you get in your car and you drive home, don't close your eyes because you're driving, but you can still learn Torah. You could review what we just learned in your head. If you verbalize it, great, but you could also review what we learned, and you could think over your head. Oh, the whole purpose of creation is to make a dwelling place for Hashem. That's either through learning, through davening, through doing a mitzvah, and even through reviewing Torah as I go to work. So we all have the ability to do to serve Hashem all the time. And when you do it, Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. By the way, Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha is not only when you do a mitzvah, because we're always and constantly, every moment of our lives, serving Hashem in whatever it is that we're doing. Every single part of our lives, every single day, is serving Hashem. So therefore, it has to be b'simcha, because Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. So the culmination of all this will be when Mashiach comes, may it be, b'mheira b'yameinu amin takef miyamamish right now. Good Shabbos, everyone, and don't forget to be extra b'simcha, because we're still in Chodesh Adar, Mar b'simcha. We have another good week and a half.